Thank you so much, Andrea and everybody. It's really lovely to have this opportunity to gather here and to really take refuge together. Beautiful to hear everyone's name as you came into the circle and to just feel the presence of everyone together. Really supporting each other to turn to the refuge of this teaching, our refuge of our inner capacity for calmness, for wisdom, for kindness. Really turning to the refuge of the Dharma, the teachings that support our internal capacity, and really settling in for this next while into the support of the Sangha. These three refuges that we can turn to, that we are turning to right now together. And so, as Andrea said, of course, we're going to follow our usual format. And of course, it's new at the same time. And so we'll settle into a guided sit right now. And I'm imagining that everyone here has been through a roller coaster, perhaps, of emotions and responses in the last week to what's happening in the world and to the uncertainty right now. And so I'm going to lead a meditation that some of us are familiar with, a meditation just turning to the refuge of the teachings right here in the midst of everything, right here in the midst of what's happening. This is the refuge of the practice. Being able to turn to this place of calmness or this place of groundedness right here in the midst of things. And so settling into a sense of your body sitting on the chair. This feeling right into the direct sensations. Feet on the floor. Hips on the chair. Back against the chair, perhaps. And sensing any contact with the hands. Letting the body take a deep breath. And settle into the support of the chair. Just really letting the attention rest there where the body feels supported. Letting the body be heavy. Recognizing that we can rest into the support of this chair without trying hard, without striving forward, without leaning. Bringing some appreciation in for yourself, for bringing yourself to this community tonight, to offering yourself this gift. Just appreciating yourself. For this care. And sensing into the presence of everyone around you here on the call. And sensing their sincerity, sensing their practice, sensing their wish for ease and calm and groundedness in the midst of things. Just appreciating that we are surrounded by these kind hearts. Just feeling any sense of appreciation for these hearts, these kind friends on the path. Just appreciating them and the support that their simple presence offers you. Just letting ourselves feel into their week. Perhaps they've been up, perhaps they've been down, perhaps they've been experiencing uncertainty or fear or concern or anxiety. Just letting this touch your heart and wishing for them as much ease as is possible in the midst of things. May you be soft in the midst of things. May you feel gentle in the midst of things. Just letting yourself offer a phrase or a word or just a felt sense of softness as you hold all of these friends in your awareness. And as you hold all of these kind hearts in your awareness and wish them well, being aware of receiving also their wishes for you and your well-being. May you, in all the twists and turns of this life, this last week, be held in kindness. May you be held in softness. Just letting the wishes of this circle for your well-being hold your own heart. May you be safe and happy. May you be healthy and strong. May you live with ease and peace. And sensing into your own body again, sitting. And sensing whatever is happening in the body right now. Maybe the sense of heaviness or lightness. Maybe there's a sense of agitation, high energy. Maybe there's a sense of calmness in the body, being held in this circle. Maybe there are areas in the body of comfort, some of discomfort. Seeing if you can let it be all, just let it be to the best of your ability. Right here in the midst of this. Inviting softness. Right here in the midst of what's here, inviting gentleness. May I live with kindness right here in the midst of things. And turning and sensing whatever is happening in the heart. Maybe emotions of ripples of anxiety or concern, or maybe there are some ripples of release or relief, being connecting to the practice. Whatever's happening in the heart, just embracing that, allowing it to be. May I be peaceful right here in the midst of this. Inviting softness right here in the midst of this. May I be gentle here in the midst of things. And sensing into the mind, this mind that may feel quite frenetic or perhaps less so. Perhaps the mind is feeling like a steam engine slowing down. Or perhaps there's a sense of spaciousness in the mind. Whatever is happening in the mind, may there be softness here in the midst. May I hold whatever's happening in the mind with gentleness. May I live with kindness here in the midst of things. Just noticing in your system any resonating, any sense of response in your body from this offering to yourself. This inner generosity. Tuning in, checking in again with the body sitting, checking in with the breathing, sensing the breath in the belly or the chest or the trunk of the body, this rising and falling. Noticing that the breath breathes all by itself. Just riding the ebb and flow of the breath. When the mind moves to thinking, which it will, it'll come back all by itself. And just return to the area in the body that feels most supportive, most comfortable. The breath rising and falling. the body sitting on the chair, feeling supported. The feet on the floor, hands soft. Resting in this body, this breath. Wherever it feels most comfortable or pleasant for you. The mind moves away to thinking. It'll come back. And just rest into sensations in whatever part of the body feel most gentle, most soft, most supportive at the moment. Checking in with the body and seeing, is there any scanning again and seeing any areas of tightness or openness. And seeing what happens to the body when you simply pay attention to it in this way. And then we can intentionally invite softness or ease into the body. And then we can be soft or easeful with whatever's here. Ease right here in the midst of things. If it feels supportive to you to drop in the word ease on the exhale, just try whispering that in and see what happens in the body, in the system. Ease on the exhale. Ease right here in the midst. Oh, so I'm just feeling such appreciation for everybody. And I'm wondering how everybody's doing. And I hope that we'll have time at the end to hear from everyone who wants to share. And what I wanted to offer tonight, to talk about tonight, was really how we take refuge in the practice. And that this practice is really here for us. And in a way, we practice, to meet these kinds of times. The time that I'm certain all of us have had over the last few days of uncertainty and probably some fear and some anxiousness, and then mixed in there some refuge in the practice, I'm sure for all of us. A sense of being able to rest into our inner capacity for calmness, to remember the teachings that can help us come back out of being swept away in the current of fear and it's definitely very palpable in the world, this current of fear, anxiety, and wishing for things to be a little bit more certain than they are. And I'm sure we've all been carried away by that from time to time. So how can we really settle into the teachings as a way of reconnecting with this moment here and now, helping ourselves come back once we've been carried away, back to this, what's happening now, this moment, and how we can respond wisely. And then settling into the refuge also of the Sangha, the community, especially in this time of social distancing. And so I wanted to just reflect a little bit on how we're taking refuge and how we can deepen our sense of refuge. And I wanted to begin with this poem by Rosemerry, Wahtola, Trommer. This is one of the ways to stay connected, I think. Now, how can we stay connected to Sangha? Connected is through Rosemerry, Wahtola, Trommer's poem a day. So if you're not on that email list, it's a wonderful thing. And of course, she writes a poem a day, really in line with what's happening. So this is a poem called Staying Home. She says, and when fear comes to the door, bringing flowers, acting as if it's a friend, it's okay to not want to let it in. It's okay to lock the door. It'll make you feel as if you're doing something. Fear will enter anyway. At least it won't expect a hug. It won't wash its hands, not even when you ask nicely. And it is more contagious than any virus. Spreads without sneezes or coughs. It won't leave when you ask, but there are ways to make it quieter. Like inviting a few others to join you. Preferring gratitude. Sorry, I'm going to read that again. Like inviting a few others to join you. Preferably gratitude, compassion, love, kindness, vulnerability. These friends always come when asked, wearing the loveliest perfume. They change the conversation, the way lemon and honey change the bitter tea. They remind you who you are, invite you to look out the window and see how beautiful the world when the shadows are long. So in our practice, we can turn to these friends as well as the friends that are gathered here. Although in a way, all of the friends that are gathered here are personifications, are manifestations of those beautiful friends. Sitting here in this circle are gratitude, compassion, love, kindness, and vulnerability in each one of our hearts. And so we can bring these friends in and see how they change the conversation. And this practice really helps us to turn to these tools, to these friends, and invite them in to support the way that we respond to these times. One of the things that happens when we bring in kindness and compassion, gratitude, and these other beautiful qualities is that we're looking to the good in the situation. And there's a lot of research, of course, about how important it is to look to the good in any situation. And one of the things that we can see is that we see the truth of our interconnection so clearly. And this can be a little bit alarming, but also a deep refuge. Even in this time of social distancing. I've come to change those words because it's not really social distancing we're doing. We're doing some physical distancing, but in my heart, we're practicing social care. When we give that physical distance, when we refrain from the hug, it can feel like a kind of an isolating thing. But if we think about it as social care, then our hearts can be full of care as we observe, as we respect, as we maintain and support and sustain this way of keeping each other safe and healthy. And so today I walked downtown. Not downtown, I walked to Broadway. And I went shopping. And I was very aware of social care. Even when I passed people on the street, I was aware of social care for those people. And not only was I socially careful to keep the recommended distance, but at the same time as I did it, I couldn't help but send them kindness and send them well-wishing and wish them health and well-being. And then I went into the stores and the beautiful people in the stores, how my heart just overflowed with care for them. And as I walked into one store and I was invited right at the door of the store to wash my hands. And they have a washroom there, and they invited all the customers to go wash their hands. And it was such an act of care. And so we can bring our care, we can call our friends of care and kindness in all the time right now. We have opportunities for this deep practice of social care. And in that way, we can begin to see the opportunities for connection in this time of uncertainty. This time for when connection is really important. And also the opportunities for deep practice. How do we call up our friends in the midst of things? How do we respond? Do we lead? Can we lead with kindness and compassion for ourselves and everyone else? Other examples of this kindness, care, and connection I saw today were on Broadway. The Broadway Theater they're closed, and the sign on their marquee says, "Wash your hands, love each other." And I just loved that. It's been saying it in my mind all day. Wash your hands, love each other. You may have noticed your own opportunities for care and connection and compassion, for leading in this way, letting these friends lead the way, even in the midst of uncertainty and anxiety. there's a beautiful website that Karen posted on Rod brought it to our attention and Karen posted it on their website. This Caremongering site. Has anyone seen it or heard of it? If you haven't, go to our website or just Google Caremongering. It's a movement that maybe Rod can tell us more about how it started, but a movement that started that I know it's in Regina and then it came up to Saskatoon, where it's a website simply for people who have needs in this time and people who can offer to fill those needs, and connecting on their Facebook page. And it's beautiful. I went on there and I just scrolled through all the beautiful resources, and it lifted my heart. It's a connecting thing just to read all the offers of help, all the offers that people are offering. If you're socially isolating, I'm free to bring groceries, all kinds of offers to pick up groceries and supplies and deliver them to the doorstep. It's amazing. And so there was one entry on there. It said, when I get home from work, I just read the new entries on here and it makes me feel really good. It makes me feel less isolated. So ways that we can find connection, and also ways that we can offer, ways that we can feel a part of this while at the same time keeping ourselves safe. I've also been enjoying on the internet people like Jan Arden and Burton Cummings, who've been offering online concerts, free online concerts. Burton Cummings, a beautiful childhood, and not childhood, but grew up with Burton Cummings, and of course he lives in Moose Jaw now, and Jan Arden lives in southern Alberta, and they're offering these free concerts. It's been delightful to see, to feel the care and connection that's rising kind of spontaneously. Another friend today said to me that in her neighborhood, neighbors that she's never spoken to have asked her if she needed any help. And she said that she was feeling more connected in her neighborhood than she ever has. I know not everyone has access to online. So obviously we all do, but there may be people that don't in our community, and having a phone buddy is a good way of connecting while keeping social care protocol happening. So we may ask people if there's anyone who's willing to be a phone buddy and just check in on some of our members in the Sangha who don't have as much access to internet and those kinds of connections as some of us do. And so there's that way of responding, is tuning into the good and also tuning into the ways that we can connect and the ways that we can lead with kindness and care and compassion while keeping ourselves safe at the same time. And then there is also, how do we work with the anxiety that rises? It's so easy to get carried away by the news, by the real feeling of fear that we can feel in the news, feel in some of the reports. And so just a couple of ways, and people on in this call, I'm sure will have other ways to offer, the ways of really working with that cycle. One, of course, is simply to come back to the body always in the here and now, helping us to interrupt the mind when it gets carried away. And of course, the mind gets carried away. We will get carried away. And so having kindness when we notice that and bringing the mind back. And another thing we can just feel into is an understanding of why the mind gets carried away, why we might check the news again and again, or want to, get kind of kind of check in on the news, maybe more than we might maybe need to. I sometimes find myself kind of repeatedly checking into the news, and I'm feeling into that, and I think part of it is I keep checking in, wanting to find some kind of certainty in this uncertainty. Certainly, that may be what's fueling some of the anxiety, the hoarding. Of course, we want to feel safe and we want to feel certain in the times that are here. And so, if we have an understanding of that, that can help our own selves when we get carried away, when my mind gets carried away, having understanding, of course, I want to feel some certainty and having some compassion for that. And then some other ways to support ourselves. Just I was reflecting on what can support me, and I think, well, the leisure center is closed, and this is closed, and that's closed, and realize what's not closed is the outdoors. Nature is not closed. That's going to be in my heart. Nature is not closed, and it's a great support for us. And then the last thing that I want to offer, just in terms of reframing what's happening, is I saw this in the news report. It said, it feels like the whole world is in retreat. And this news report meant in retreat from the virus, in retreat from. And I thought, well, yeah, maybe we are in retreat, but not from. We can be in retreat with, or in retreat into. Our practice, we sometimes, in a way, this gives us quite an opportunity to be still, more still than we might usually be. We can quite an opportunity to really renounce things with an intention. And in fact, have an at-home retreat in a way that's really quite precious. Enjoying the small pleasures of things. And if we can, seeing this time as kind of time out of time, kind of a special time. And so for certain, this is a time, opportunity for us to practice deeply. We are being deeply called and deeply invited. How can we turn to the refuge of the practice? And how can we respond in a way that will deepen our own care and compassion towards ourselves and also everyone around us? And so I'm going to close just with a poem, and then we'll open it up to just sharing just how it is for you, what's happening. I'm going to share another poem from Rosemerry. And this is called Sitting Quietly, and speaks to me about how we can, just an invitation to frame our response to this challenge, not to take it lightly at all. It's like a worldwide challenge that's really challenging us in ways that many of us in our lifetimes haven't seen. Now, how can we reframe it or frame it in a way that invites us into deep practice and deep response in the world, calling forth our friends? And so this is called Sitting Quietly, asked to consider my inner light. Any light I carry is nothing I have manufactured. It's easiest to notice in the dark. It cannot be faked. Perhaps I wished I could control it. Instead, I marvel and ask it, how can I serve? In a way, we're being deeply invited to sit quietly, consider our inner light, and ask, how can we serve ourselves and our community?